Well, hello everyone. I hope everyone is having a good June so far. I think we have a few things to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. Rao, are you ready to give the tech update?
Yes, I am. So the mainnet is still running the same version as last week, the 0.10.2, but there have been a few updates on the testnet. One is that, first of all, the good news is that we now have what we believe is the release candidate for block merge going on the mainnet. This is the leaderful block merge. Currently, we are testing that on the DevNet, and soon we should have it on the testnet so that folks can start playing with that. The community members can start playing with that. So that's going to be coming soon on the testnet. Current version on testnet is still the 0.11.0 alpha 2, which has parts of the block merge code, but it doesn't have the most recent changes that we believe completes the block merge functionality that will be going on the mainnet. So that's where we are. There was also with the testnet, last week we discovered an issue with end of quarantine period bug, which we are going to diagnose and then do that. But because basically what we had to do because of that on the testnet, we had to restart the testnet from Genesis. However, this is not a concern for the mainnet at the moment, because right now the mainnet is running at mainnet is at 833, 500 some blocks, 504, I believe, right now. And the quarantine period currently is set to 1.4 million block height. So we have plenty of time on the mainnet, and this is an issue that we're going to get to right after block merge, and it will be part of the hard fork 2 for us to, we'll be releasing that as part of that, or sooner actually, if there is no hard fork or data kind of implications, we will just go ahead and release the bug fix onto the mainnet as soon as we can after block merge. So that's where we are with the different test nets, and of course we're running some more test nets for the we're running the testnet 2, and then any additional things that are transient test nets for performance testing and all that. That's where we are with the various networks. So the focus now for the team, now that the basically the mainnet version of block merge release candidate is in hand, they are finishing up and enhancing the tests. Some of the tests are already refactored, some are enabled that were not being run before, and then there are a few new tests that need to be created. So this testing and monitoring for any glitches or performance issues or any of that, all of that will be the focus for the next couple of weeks with this version. Even as we work on the other parts, and I'll speak to the other parts right now. But in terms of what has been completed in the current version that's getting ready to go on the testnet, that's the release candidate for the mainnet. You can see the full list of PRs that are merged in here. Some of the main things are fixes to safety oracle, fault tolerance, changing the tests on those. Those are the things that have been fixed. And then there was a removal of one of the DAG store cache, DAG store from the cache. So those are the things that were done. Now separately, unrelated to the block merge piece, Tomislav has implemented a slight improvement in the development environment setup, primarily using Nix, and then he has changed the documentation on it. so for people that are okay with using Nix, there is a simplified methodology there. So those are the things that were completed this last week. And the work in terms of the block merge that requires hard fork, there has not been any significant change other than basically this version changes spilling over to that branch. But we will be focusing on that after we're done with the testing the current version. Hard fork 1 for balances, that work is mostly complete for now. There are a couple of PRs that have been partially reviewed. I think they're waiting for second review, and they will be merged. And then with that, we will be ready for hard fork 1. However, we will not be doing hard fork 1 immediately because we're waiting to complete the testing of the block merge with the current state information, both on the testnet and on the mainnet for a few weeks before we move to hard fork 1, where we will be removing the state information. So that's the plan. That's the reason why we're currently looking at maybe end of July for hard fork 1. That gives us a few weeks between now and then to test block merge both on the testnet as well as on the mainnet. And if we can get to hard fork 1 sooner, we will, if we feel comfortable that everything is all working fine. So but roughly that's where the planning is at the moment. We continue to identify all the things that need to go on hard fork 2, as well as categorize them into, this has to be a hard fork versus this can be like tasks that need to be absolutely part of the hard fork versus tasks that could be considered part of a soft fork. So the two main things really for the hard fork 2 are the POS changes and an approach to create a soft fork process that is safe. The idea being that we're going to do whatever we need to do as part of the hard fork, but then the process for creating soft forks is a more long-running asset or long-standing asset that we can then use to create any future changes that we have to make in addition to the ones that we know of at the moment. So that's where that work is. And then the RevVault work is being done as part of hard fork 2 right now. And that also we're going to review and improve further. So we'll have more updates on that perhaps next week or the week after. And in terms of all the things that we're considering for hard fork 2 and what will be part of the hard fork versus what will be part of the soft fork update process, we're going to publish that list once we're done with that analysis and after we're done with this block merge testing and it's on the mainnet. So that's kind of where we are. This section on performance tests is a repeat for those that that are keeping tabs because we don't have any new numbers to report here at the moment. But once we make progress on the block merge on the hard fork and we have a little bit more data, then we'll update this section. But I did want to leave this section as a repeat from before. There are, so because the testnet 1 address as well as the testnet 1 address has changed because we started from Genesis. That's published in the Discord, as well as this page up here where you normally get the RChain public testnet information. So that's been updated. So you can look at that for current ways to access the testnet. And then the network ID for testnet 2 is this one from June 4th. That is what is available to folks to use. And but we have a on the DevNet, we're probably testing a slightly more advanced version of the code base. But when it's ready, of course, we'll update the testnet too. So that, I think, is mostly my update on the technical update. Are there any questions, comments? All right, over to you, Greg.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Raul. Yes, it is good to see a release candidate coming our way. That's fantastic. Let's see. We did have a good board discussion yesterday. As usual, best to keep the board discussion results to the Friday sessions. So if you want to hear about that, please come to the Friday session. With that, maybe we should ask Steve Henley if he wants to give us an update on the blockchain conferences he's been attending this past week.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Hello, everyone. And yes, so this past Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I was in Orlando, Florida, attending the Florida Blockchain Summit, which is this was the first of it'll be an annual event, but this was the first time they've held the summit, and it went pretty well. We had about 300 to 400 people in attendance, and the first few days were more oriented towards people new to the blockchain and Bitcoin space. There was an element of Bitcoin around the conference because this summit was directly following the Miami Bitcoin conference, which is for the first time being held in Miami. Typically, that event is held in California, but due to COVID this year, it was held in Miami. And with that event, they had about 12,000 people, and many of them came up from Miami to attend the Florida Blockchain Summit in Orlando. So I got to hear the highs and lows of that conference. Apparently, there were so many people at the Miami Bitcoin conference that in order to get into the conference, you had to stand in line for 2 hours outside in the Florida sun in the middle of June. So a lot of people were unhappy with that. But in any case, the Florida Blockchain Summit. Let's see here. Some of the takeaways. I got some actionable items from the event. They had here. Let me pull up the schedule so I can kind of look at it as a reference. On the second day, they had different tracks that attendees could attend. There was a technical track and there was a policy track. And let's see here, and there was a beginner's track. So I had to decide, well, I was interested in the policy track and the technical track, and I had to decide, two presentations going on, which one I wanted to attend. And the choice wasn't always easy, and it turned out the most interesting, I did ultimately attend the policy tracks, which seemed to be most interesting. So a couple takeaways was the University of Florida and the University of Central Florida, they have now added blockchain to their curriculum. So let's see here, the University of Florida has the Digital Worlds Institute. So if you can Google that, UF for University of Florida Digital World Institute, and you can read all about that. And then the professor Marko Suvajdic, who's, I believe he's from Serbia, Croatia. He was there telling us about the program, and they're looking for partners to work with. So I have his card, and perhaps we'll start a conversation about spinning up a external validator. once we reach that point to start to decentralize our platform. And I attended the University of Florida. They like working with alumni, so I have sort of an inside track there. So that's certainly a good prospect. And also with the University of Central Florida, they have the Institute for Modeling, Simulation, and Training. So you can Google that. And the University of Central Florida is in Orlando, which is actually the origins of the space program, NASA, which is just less than an hour east on Cape Canaveral. So a lot of the great minds at NASA, they sort of float back and forth between Central Florida, Orlando, and Cape Canaveral. So and so there's a large space element with leading to the modeling and simulation and training. So David Metcalf, he leads up that program. So I have his card as well. So we'll explore the possibility of University of Central Florida spinning up a third-party external validator. And then, so in that same track at the Florida Blockchain Summit was in that policy track, I met a gentleman. Let me see if I can get his name correct here. Let's see here. Bear with me. Anyways, he introduced me to the, I want to get his name correct. Anyways, it's the Government Blockchain Association. I'll find it here in a second. And so, you know, one of the big challenges with Jovan Marjanovic. He's the director of international development for the Government Blockchain Association. So, you know, and they have apparently over 100 chapters throughout the world of blockchain affiliate programs. And so, you know, government, federal, state, and local, you know, they're starting to explore and educate themselves on the possibility of how to incorporate blockchain-based solutions into various government applications. And so the Government Blockchain Association is sort of that gateway of both education and also for projects to join and to help provide solutions to government agencies. And in September 27th to October 1st is the Government Blockchain Week. So this is Monday through Friday. This is a big event apparently for government officials and leaders to connect with blockchain solution providers to get educated, start to learn about the policies and what are some of the restrictions that are in place that are inhibiting growth, and what can legislators do in form of policy to help advance and promote blockchain. So that's, and you can go to Government Blockchain Association, gba.org perhaps, I'm not quite sure. But in any case, if you Google Government Blockchain Association, that'll come up and you can read all about the Blockchain Week. So that's the highlight, some of the big takeaways that I got from the event. But it was really an enjoyable event to talk to people. A lot of people were just kind of discovering, the power of blockchain, what the potential is, and the whole realm of digital money and what advantages that can present. So it was a pleasure to speak with such a broad cast of people at all the different levels, and to kind of get their perspectives on this industry that we're in, and to learn what some of the possibilities are, because it's we're creating that that base layer, that layer one. And where the excitement starts to come is, when you start developing on top of it, all those dApps and applications making, blockchain do great things for people in society. So, yeah, so there's other events going on. And, I think now, since we're approaching block merge and with our 2 hard forks, we're quickly moving towards getting to the point where we can start to decentralize our platform. Now it's engaging, engaging with the people and finding opportunities and making bringing the awareness of RChain and our project to everyone, so they can come be aware of it and what potential that we bring. And I think things will start to pick up, with engagements like these in the future. So very good. I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has any questions for me. But thank you.
Was there a legal or regulatory track as a part of the policy track?
Let's see here. There was a banking and corporate session. It was very basic, going over KYC and things like that. So I was in another session at that time. But yeah, but they'll have more of those types of sessions, and I'm sure in the future. They did speak to what Florida is doing as far as bills that we're trying to introduce. Florida has a fintech sandbox, but it's not quite what they hoped it to be. It's very limited and restricted. Florida wants to become, as not like Wyoming. It's Florida's version of Wyoming, being blockchain friendly. So we're working diligently. So we have the Florida Blockchain Business Association, which is working with state officials to craft legislation to help promote blockchain, but the wheels of government turn slowly, and but they're working towards it, and yeah, we'll get there, but it just takes time.
Understood. Thank you very much for the update.
Yeah.
All right, Daryl, are you ready to give the community in review?
Yes, I am. Thanks for that, Steve. That was really interesting. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so on Wednesday at the RChain Active, hold it. I jumped into the future here. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's the week in review for June 3rd to June 10th. On Thursday at the Governance Committee, we discussed issues around new members participating in rev sales in progress. On Friday at the Climate Coordination RCast, this week was a special RCast. On June 3rd, the Chinese community conducted an AMA with Greg through an interpreter, and I extracted all the English elements into a video edit, and I did the transcript. So you can check it out by going to blog.rchain.coop and looking for RCast 140. I think it's quite a good listen and read, so I'd recommend checking it out. And by the way, there's another Chinese AMA happening tomorrow with a crypto community of several thousand people in China. So maybe there'll be another one like that for next week. On Saturday at the RGov Smart Contract Call, they did live coding of RSign MetaMask replacement. On Monday at the Casper Stand-Up, this week's Casper Stand-Up covered applying OSLF to Rolang. And you can check out the Casper Stand-Ups by going to YouTube and searching for Casper Stand-Up. On Tuesday at the RChain Education, they worked on Rolang Syntax Highlighter for RGov Developer Interface. Also on Tuesday at the Communications Working Group, we discussed the CoinMarketCap updating we're doing. It's partially updated now and will hopefully be completed by next week with more detail about what RChain is about. Thanks to Lilia for helping out with that. We also discussed a new page that we're building for the website that will contain press kit and marketing resources. Um, and this morning at the active member hangout, we spent the first half hour catching up on our personal lives, which is also important. Then Raphael gave an update on the progress with RGov and some website updating. There is now a footer that carries through with all pages and some other changes he did. Bravo to Raphael. And Bill showed some work he did on enhancing RGov developer tools. And I'd just like to say thank you to Jim Whitescarver for helping out with some of these entries. And that is it.
Very good. Thank you so much. Very good. Some other well, first of all, any questions for Daryl or Steve?
Actually, I have a question for Steve. So Steve, were there other blockchain projects kind of represented there? Did you see any other presence of other layer one services or others?
Surprisingly not. The top projects, the Ethereums, Cardanos of the world, they weren't there. And if there were really other projects there in the mix, I really didn't find them. There were some local projects. There's a project called Pocket, which is sort of a relay API interface for mobile applications. They gave a presentation, but other than that, not so much.
Okay, interesting.
There was a lot of talk about NFTs. So that seemed to be the hot topic of the conference. Of course, Bitcoin and understanding the history of money, there was that component, but everyone wanted to get an understanding of what non-fungible tokens are, what are the marketplaces, how is it you can buy a digital art piece, do you own it, what exactly does that mean? And so there was several sessions or presenters who talked about that. So yeah, and then there was some DeFi and some of the typical presentations, but yeah, no, there weren't. It was nice in a sense that there wasn't projects there that got up on stage to present, to sell their project. It was more around what solutions is blockchain going to be able to provide. So it was more oriented around that. And it was interesting. There was one gentleman who got up on stage. He was a realtor from Alabama, and apparently he hosts the Atlanta Bitcoin meetup, and he gave his 30-minute presentation on why Bitcoin is environment friendly, how we need Bitcoin to help us save the planet and generate more sustainable energy. And the entire time, I'm shaking my head. I'm like, I think he's kind of missing the point. But yeah, it was a lot of he's putting down Elon Musk's for his tweets on Bitcoin and how energy how it consumes so much energy. But it just speaks to it's for everyone who identifies proof of stake is the path forward for environmental friendly, low power consumption, all of those positives. There's somebody else on the other side who's a Bitcoin maximalist and is thinking that Bitcoin is environmental friendly and all the good it can do. So that's the dynamic that is there at a conference. It's you get all the possible perspectives, and people are they speak their mind, and you just kind of listen to them and be pleasant, and but you just the idea is to network, you meet as many people as you can, and they have programs or aspects of the event which are network based, where you start at one table and you meet everyone there, and then everyone moves to the next table and you meet everyone there. So you really get a wide palette of perspectives and what people are doing at these types of conferences. So that the promoters go an extra mile to make sure that people get engaged and they meet people outside of their inner circle.
Huh.
I had a comment, or maybe it's the question. Oh, Daryl, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's okay, Nora. Go ahead.
I was just wondering if anybody has ever been aware of like an open debate about environmental responsibility with regard to cryptocurrencies. I'm just curious if there's ever been, because there have been some great debates in the history of humanity on so many different subjects. And, sometimes when you get some, well-known people in the space, they can have thousands or even millions of viewers online. And I just thought maybe it's time for there to be some more open debate on the subject. And the other thing I just wanted to say is that I find the term environmentally friendly very interesting, because what are we talking about when we say environmentally friendly? So if something's environmentally unfriendly, oh, that's too bad. But really what we're talking about is like long-term compatibility with Earth system success, or long-term compatibility with the human race surviving. And I know that sounds very dramatic and overwhelming to some people, whatever. But if you really look at what's going on with Earth now, and we look at the emissions budget, which is decreasing extremely quickly, we look at the rise in temperatures that we're looking at and things like that. Like, we don't know if human beings and other Earth systems are going to survive. So I just think it's interesting when we say environmentally friendly, because the situation is much more grave than that. And I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, I think you make some good points, and bringing that topic to the forefront at these types of event is a perfect venue, because you have a lot of new people that are coming into the space, and they're hearing what they hear is you've heard about Bitcoin, and maybe they've heard about proof of work, but they don't understand it. And they get these, the presenters who are presenting on Bitcoin and proof of work, and, that perspective. So it's up to us to, as these people, come in and they're actively searching for knowledge, is to present the alternatives, proof of stake and the low power consumption, and what does that mean? And so the newbies of the world can walk away with more than one idea in their tool bag to sort of critically analyze this space. So yeah, I think that in itself would be a perfect presentation for someone, is the low power consumption of proof of stake. So I put in my hat to be a speaker. It was on something. It was on last finalized state. I didn't make the cut because they had a lot of people wanting to speak, and my presentation, that topic just didn't really pique their interest. But right there, the low power consumption of proof of stake, perhaps I may have got a speaking spot if I had put that presentation together, and maybe go toe to toe, head to head with the Atlanta Bitcoin gentleman who was promoting Bitcoin and Bitcoin's power consumptions, how positive it's supposed to be.
I propose a debate between Greg and Satoshi Nakamoto.
That would be good.
We can flesh him out, right?
Yeah, we'll create an avatar.
Yeah.
But yeah, Greg
so-
should absolutely be part of that kind of a debate. I think that would be really exciting for the entire global community to witness. I, for one, would certainly pay money to watch that.
Yeah, and the way these events are structured is that they have panels. Typically, the panels, they had a panel on blockchain and space. Because blockchain is near the space coast. They were talking about applications that could arise. So, but they're all sort of the same cloth. They're all there wasn't much debate in terms of point counterpoint, but hey, I can see that type of dynamic changing with these panels, just on power consumption right there. You would have a panel with an actual debate going on, which would be I think educational and very entertaining for the audience to watch.
Well, I just find it really fascinating how, there was a Bitcoin representative that, found it very, very important that he needed to talk about this and defend himself. The Elon Musk single-handedly launched this, idea to the world that, of course, we've been talking about for years now, that it's now kind of accelerated up to the top of the agenda for a lot of people involving, any blockchain is, how is it going to deal with climate change? And so, I know it's not attractive to gloat, but, we've been talking about this for quite a while, and it's kind of, just to me, it's quite fascinating that, this Bitcoin defender found it really important that he had to kind of, talk about this. And it's interesting. I've heard two basic arguments about, why Bitcoin is good for climate change. And one has been, we're so bad, we're good. That argument, the so bad, we're good argument, which is, we're burning up the planet so fast, we're spurring on renewable technology, which is insane. And then there's the other argument I've heard, which is, well, we're better than fiat. With fiat, you have to transport dollars around in these big trucks, and you have to, there's so much energy wastage in fiat, so we're better than that, So yeah, it's interesting how they're grasping at straws to try to defend themselves because they know this issue is so important.
So, and I'm not defending what he said, but I think his main point that he was advocating for Bitcoin was, okay, Bitcoin, it uses energy in remote locations. So if you have a sustainable energy supply, solar or wind power, and you have, it's capital intensive, so you build that out, but you have that power source along with a Bitcoin mining operation. So what happens is, it's all about, peak demand. So, in low demand, you have, you're mining your Bitcoin with your Bitcoin operation. But as you have peak demand, you transfer, the power. So you're mining less with the Bitcoin, and you're using the energy for the consumers. So you have that ability to that flexibility. So that was one of it. He was hard to follow a lot of time, but I think he was kind of moving towards that as his main advantage. And I've heard that before with all of these Bitcoin maximalists. That's how they present their argument. So. But
yeah, that's kind of the we're so bad, we're good argument. It's, if I understand the argument right, it's like, we use up so much power that you have to build a new power stations in order to drive it, and let's make them renewable ones. So boom, we've created a renewable power station that other people can use.
Right.
Which seems a little wacky to me. And when you look at the reality of the situation, the bulk of the mining is happening in China with coal powered plants. So how do you answer that one?
Yeah,
it's an insane argument, in my opinion.
Excellent. Well, that was very good discussion. Let's see, what else have we got to cover today? I think we've covered most of what we want to talk about. We can push the group flow states to a time when there's more space in the discussion. Anything else we want to cover?
I just wanted to say that the RChain co-op Twitter is getting closer to 10,000 followers. And so if you're not following, I'm sure everybody on this call is following, but if you aren't, Twitter is fun and free. So, make an account, follow, but also what you can do if you're interested in helping RChain get to that 10,000 mark, you can just, tweet or retweet something about RChain, or you could tag a friend in an RChain post. And I think the co-op will get there very soon, which would be great.
Yes. Awesome. Very good. Very good. All right. Thanks to all. Please stay safe and see you on the other side.